Rain, 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 rain. The rain. And welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's original series, Season 3 of The Rain. The Rain Season 3 picks up where the second left off. Years after the rain decimated the population of Scandinavia, Simone and Rasmus find themselves at odds on how to save humanity. Rasmus wants to infect everyone with the same beta version of the virus that turned him into a superhuman, while Simone insists that there must be a cure. 6 episodes, 50 minutes, and this is the final season. There's no more after this. So if you were hoping that there was going to be like a little tidbit, like an extra scene at the end, unfortunately that isn't it. This is how they decided to finish the trilogy. I think it was always designed to be this, and I think it would be fair to say that this has a niche audience now. The first 2 seasons were met with, I think, a little bit of hate. It mostly came down to the science. People just couldn't get past some of the things that they just couldn't find believable, even though it's a fantasy series. There's a majority of people that just went, yeah, this is not for me, because some of the things that happen within the disease, it's just not believable how people get infected, as it seems to be inconsistent. So there was that. But it's safe to say that there's also a group of individuals, kind of like me, that do love this series. So if you were hyped to see the season and you were hoping it was going to be as good as the first and second season, I can say it is. In fact, I think it's my favorite season, but that's basically because they got season 1 and 2 to lean back on. There is some padding here. The first episode is fantastic, and it really kind of heightens that sense of tension, that action. It's fast-paced, it's quick, and then immediately there's a massive change of pace in the episode 2 and 3, because they're developing stories and characters. Again, there's a little bit of side character development, but for the most part the arc really kind of just stays with Rasmus and Simone. These are the two basically counter opposites of each other. Now their character arcs have gone like this, where they were like this at the beginning. Now they just basically have opposed views, and that's very interesting, because you have that turmoil between brother and sister, between the love hate relationship, I guess. They love each other, but they hate what they stand for in their opposite views and terms, and they can't seem to come to eye of how they want to see the world change. At the same time, you have other storylines going on. You have that like love triangle relationships. You have other new relationships formed, and there are a few. Well, there's one family in particular that are introduced into the storyline, which I think is quite interesting. Had we had more episodes, I think we would have probably engaged more with these characters, being emotionally tied to these characters, these new ones. I would say for the most part you're probably going to be more engaged with the characters that you've been on the journey with. That makes sense, because we've been on that journey for 2 seasons already. And the reason why I feel like this season is the better season is because we know it's ending, because the writers know they have a way to, there's an end point for them. Kind of all bets are off. So where season 1 and 2 kind of had a little bit of what you call the main protagonists kind of had a little bit of plot protection, in season 3 you kind of know that those cards have been taken off the table, so you don't know what they're going to do really. And I think that's where the story is quite fun, it's quite intense. So don't expect everybody to survive towards the end, because the writers now have an end goal, so they can go, right, now we can do what we want. We can really play with these characters and go directions that we probably couldn't have before. Which is great. I think it needed that kind of tension. I think it lost a little bit in the season 2, even 1. There were moments that I think they were like, oh, this looks fantastic, it's shot brilliantly, but you knew that they weren't going to kill off those main characters. Well, that's what I thought, and I was right, they didn't do that. But here in season 3, a lot of the bets are off, so you kind of don't know who's going to survive from one episode to the next, and that brings about tension that I think this season needed, and it does finish off really well. Like I said, that first episode is great, that 6th episode is great. If you don't like padding, then you might not enjoy the middle episodes, although you need those middle episodes really to kind of cement what these characters believe, and kind of finish off the storylines of what the disease has done, where it's going, how they're using it now. I really like the way it's filmed. There's a lot of cinema scope shots, wide landscape shots, and because it's Scandinavia, it just looks beautiful. But also, again, it's the cinematographer himself who's chosen to do some very creative shots. There's some nice contra zooms, certain camera angles, the way they mix in, I guess, what you would call special effects and real effects. So you have prosthetics and makeup mingled in amongst CGI. So you have CGI, special effects, makeup, and it's all melded very well. Never in any episode did I think, oh, okay, that just looks fake. I always loved the way they did the polygons with the dusts. That just looks alive. Like it wants to attack, like it wants to hurt you. And so when you see Ramus using his powers, it's always very cool. It's a really nice effect. There were some actors, and I'm not going to give names to, that I thought they didn't have a huge amount to do on screen, and they didn't have a lot of dialogue, and they felt like they were just characters that were there on the journey for the ride just because they didn't have a lot to do with it. And there were also some side characters that were just terrible in acting on screen. That looks like they were given direction that just didn't make sense. And that's my biggest kind of concern with season 3. My biggest, if I had to choose an issue that I had with season 3, it would be character motivations. In 1 second they can be feeling one thing for one person, and then in the matter of a few minutes that same character can be feeling something else for a different character. And it does often feel like these characters kind of go topsy-turvy with how they feel about what's happening. They are definitely driven by their emotions, so they left and right. I'm feeling happy today, so everybody gets to live. I'm feeling sad today, so everybody dies. And that is an over-exaggeration, but it does feel like the characters are a little bit like that. That would be my only kind of real negativity on season 3, because I actually really enjoyed it. Like I said, I think it's my favorite season so far. I'm glad they didn't string it out, that they brought it to an end, that it finishes with like a nice kind of I was going to say bang, but it finishes as like you would expect it to. There's adventure, it takes you on that journey. You know that it's always going to end up with like the battle, the final battle, where these two teams basically that they've been forming throughout the season kind of have to face each other, and how and who or what's and who's going to survive? I'm not going to tell you that, but it was fun to watch that kind of end battle scene. It felt like you'd been on the journey with them and you finally got given that fruition. The ending, I think, is probably the best ending they could have come up with. I'm not sure whether we could have another season, even if they wanted to, with the way they ended it. I think Rasmus's and Simone's chemistry, the actors, you can tell that they've been working together for a number of years now. Their chemistry is rife on screen. I like it when they're acting, when they're on screen together, when they're acting with each other. You feel like they know each other. You feel like they're almost brother and sister, and I think that works. So when you have two lead protagonists and they kind of carry any other issues that there are in the story, or whether it's scientific or you just don't quite believe, you can put that kind of to the side and just go on the ride with the character journeys, with the story that they're trying to tell. And I thought the series was a lot of fun. It's not brilliant, not by any means. There is some issues with the science behind it, but if you can put that aside, then just enjoy the fantasy story of it and enjoy the character developments and where they end up. Thanks so much for watching this review. Do let me know in the comments below who's your favorite character, which is your favorite season. I'm going to rank them 3, 1, 2. I like the original concept in season 1, that's why I'm ranking it above 2. I felt 2 dragged out a little bit and it went all over the place, although I really like the cinematography, particularly in season 2. But 3, I think, is above the rest. That's not to say that any of them are terrible, but it's just because if I had to rank them, that's where I place them. 3, 1, 2. Let me know where you would rank them. Thanks again for watching this review. But most of all, remember, until next time, live long and Tuesday.